Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics. And while I wait for the imminent results of the third round of the Conservative Party leadership contest, which I'll be talking about a little bit later, I have a question, and it is a serious question. Are the Conservative leadership candidates all just stupid? It's an odd thing to say of highly educated people, but their behaviour is frankly baffling. The Conservative Party faces an existential threat, something that gives me a bit of hope, but should horrify them. And the MPs that are hoping to become Prime Minister next month, you would think, are aiming to remain head of our government for some years to come. Surely that is the plan. But the fact of the matter is, if Parliament triggers an early general election, nobody seems to be suggesting that the Conservatives would remain in government. Certainly not the leadership candidates. I'm pretty sure they're all saying that a general election would be fatal for them. Some even say that a general election could kill off the party as a political force. On the TV debate yesterday, all of the candidates said that they would not want a general election until Brexit is resolved. Now, I don't know how a general election would go. Various parties still have to firm up their positions. In fact, another thing I'm going to be talking about this week is how Labour are potentially shifting theirs. Also, British politics is in such a mess at the moment. Voting behaviours may change quite a lot. But what I do know is that the Conservatives are shaking in their shoes at the prospect of an early general election, and it seems to be very genuine. And if the new leader makes a single step towards a no-deal Brexit, a general election will be triggered. This is because Jeremy Corbyn, as leader of the opposition, will trigger a confidence vote in the government. If some Conservative MPs vote against the government, then the House has 2 weeks to find a government. In other words, a new Prime Minister. That will not realistically happen, and so a general election is all but certain. Rory Stewart, the only candidate, assuming he still is when you're watching this, not pushing for self-destruction, has said that 100 Tory MPs stand ready to vote against their own government under these circumstances. Now, I don't believe that. I don't think that there's that many MPs willing to risk their own seat. I don't think any party has that many selfless MPs, or at least a combination of selfless MPs and MPs that are ready for retirement and don't care anyway. Even previously safe Tory seats are no longer safe. Boris Johnson's own seat is even thought to be in peril. So out of selfishness, many Conservative MPs will not vote for a general election. But we know that several would. And it doesn't take 100. It only takes a handful. Europe may be the issue that divides the Conservative Party, but Brexit is the issue that will kill it. And this is something they know. They publicly admit it. So if of all the parties, it baffles me that the one that is most opposed to another referendum is the Conservative Party. Ironically, they have the most to gain from one. Naturally, they don't have to pick a side in such a vote, just like they didn't last time, though you would expect them to push for their deal. But a no deal kills off the party, or at least sends it to the shadows for a while. Their only chance is Brexit with a deal. That might be all right for them. Or no Brexit at all. That might be all right for them. Labour themselves proposed a public vote that included the Conservative withdrawal agreement. Parliament would pass the legislation for it in advance so that as soon as the result came through, it would automatically be applied without further votes needed. Theresa May had that option. That was offered to her. It was an act of baffling stupidity that Theresa May didn't go for this right from the start. When Article 50 was being triggered, Parliament were up for having a confirmatory public vote on the deal. In addition, the Brexiteers at that point still hadn't convinced their acolytes that only a no-deal Brexit was acceptable. People were still remembering their campaign promises for that great deal that would be done in an afternoon. So it would have been easy, legally and politically, to have tied the negotiations to another public vote. We wouldn't have had the humiliating defeats in the Commons because Parliament would have voted in favour of it. It would have gone to the people at the beginning of 2019. People would have voted yay or nay, and whatever would have been implemented by now. Their ERG contingent would have frothed if the result went as we all think it would have gone. But it would have been done and dusted with a no-deal Brexit never a threat to anyone. Wouldn't have even had to been discussed. In fact, it might have been a good way to shut the Brexiteers up. After all, if they argued that the deal was bad, well, they'd just increase the chances of people voting to remain after all. And there wouldn't be another referendum after that. You can argue as much as like, oh, should we do best out of three then? No, David Cameron was really stupid to have offered the referendum in the first place. No one's going to do that for a while. Basically, they'd have had to either back the withdrawal agreement or no Brexit at all. Let's see if Jacob Rees-Mogg would have argued no Brexit was better than the government's deal then. She could have bounced him good and proper if she just had a bit of foresight. And the Conservatives would still be in government with Theresa May as Prime Minister, continuing to enact her evil domestic policies and killing off more of the poor and vulnerable of this country. But now the party finds itself in a situation whereby the only saviour, that public vote, is now politically impossible for them to support. The party leadership, including the new crop of hopefuls, manoeuvred themselves into a position whereby a deal became impossible. A public vote became an act of betrayal, and a no deal will plunge them into an unwinnable general election. Even Rory Stewart, that a lot of people are holding up as being at least realistic, does not want a public vote. He's dead against it. He also agrees that there is no other deal. He just thinks there's another way to get it through Parliament. No. But they all know that there's not going to be any change to the deal. So if Parliament doesn't vote for it, and when I say Parliament, I mean the Conservatives, if they're not going to vote for it, there is no deal possible. No deal kills them off. What have you got left? I mean, what have you got left? It's that simple. And it's not just May's legacy. Most candidates are heading on a path towards the only Brexit outcome that finishes off their political career as well as their party. Most of the leadership candidates don't actually have a plan for Brexit that wouldn't lead to a general election. They're just saying what they think they need to say in order to get elected and then worry about what to actually do afterwards. So the question, which may have seemed a bit rude at the start, now has to be asked again. Are these MPs actually just stupid? Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm going to go back and have a little look at the results now. Hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe for further content, and until next time, I'll see you later.